Hey, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. One of the things that we talk about in the Black Business School has to do with the importance of black people owning things. Ownership is about more than just wealth building. In fact, if you think of ownership solely in terms of money, you're probably going to miss 90% of the equation. Ownership is really about the ability to have control, to have power, to make sure that your value systems are pushed to the front of the line as opposed to the back of the bus. Um, One example that I've just seen in the media recently that I just wanted to talk to you guys about has to do with Tom Joyner, the great radio show host, highly respected. He's been in the game for many years. It's really funny. I'm not gonna lie and say that Tom likes me. I don't know if he likes me or not. I don't think he does. I know that when we've met each other, the response has been pretty cold because I'm pretty honest about what I see, and sometimes you say things, you offend somebody's friend, and they see you in a certain way, and it's unfortunate because I've always respected Tom Joyner. That hasn't changed. What really inspired me the most about Tom was the way he actually used to fly back and forth from Dallas to Chicago every day in order to host a morning show in one city and the evening show in the other. And I guess he had to fly twice. He had to do a round trip every single day, and that to me was just an example, a template of just inspirational work ethic. And so it's no coincidence that this man became so successful in radio with that kind of commitment to what he wanted to do. Uh, and so, what I would say to people is that, if you want to see a model of success, take a look at Tom Joyner. I think he's a great example of that. Now, here's what's interesting. This week I read, and this is according to the UK Daily Mail. They're saying that Tom Joyner's on his way out, and that it's not voluntary. He's not choosing to leave radio. He's being told to leave radio, um, which is astonishing to me because I don't understand how a man of his stature, at his age, who's been in the game this long, who has that much power, can be told to walk away, can be forced out of the position that he pretty much created. Um, I don't understand this idea of him sort of being sort of scolded and pushed off like a little boy when he has done so much in the field of radio. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really listen to Tom's show that much. I've been on it maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 times, 6 times. I don't remember how many times. And they've talked about me on the show before too, which wasn't very nice, but it's fine. It was Don Lemon. He was mad because I insulted his friend Lee Daniels over the show Empire. But we know how we feel about Don Lemon. Most of us here don't. That guy's a clown, unfortunately. But anyway, um, you know, with that show, even though I didn't listen to it, I knew people who listened to it every day. That was one of the few shows that where if I did go on the show, I would have people come to me and say, "Oh, I saw you on that show." The only other show, urban show, that had that effect would be like maybe The Breakfast Club or something like that. Those are the shows where everybody saw it, everybody heard it. Even CNN didn't have that same impact. I've gone on CNN 10 times, and a lot of my friends would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it." They'd only watch it if I told them to watch it. But the Tom Joyner Morning Show was in that category. So I'm just baffled by the idea that he can be kicked out of his job. I'm baffled by the idea that a man could be worth millions of dollars and have this much power, this much reach, and still have a damn job, still simply be somebody's employee. I can't comprehend that. Damon Dash and I teach that class, Intelligent Boss Moves, and one of the things that we both agree on, this is what brought Damon and I together after that Breakfast Club thing, is that we both agree that when a man achieves a certain degree of status in his life, in his career, you ain't supposed to be somebody else's employee. You're not supposed to be a high paid hoe. You're supposed to control something about your destiny, And here's what I'm reading that's really disturbing me about this story. And you can check it out at the UK at UK Daily Mail and also on BreakingBrown.com. Yvette Carnell wrote about it on Breaking Brown. Yvette and I were going to talk about the political angle of this because actually they let Tom go, or at least this inside source that they're quoting says that Tom's departure was set to coincide with Obama's departure from the White House. So there's a whole political angle to this, and you see a whole lot of Negroes getting fired after Obama's out the door. Watch, MSNBC is going to wipe the slate clean. Half them Negroes that you see on that network working for these people that they, I guess they thought these people loved them. I don't know what they thought. A lot of these people are going to be gone, including Al Sharpton. There were a lot of people who were put into positions because they had access to the Obamas and could get certain interviews or certain audiences based on certain events that related to the Obama presidency. A whole lot of Negroes got rich off the Obama thing, right? And many of them were dismissed. I believe CNN. I believe if Obama wasn't on his way out soon, I think CNN might have dealt with Roland Martin differently. I think Roland's one of the best journalists in the game, one of the best TV show hosts in the game. But I also think that CNN was committed to him because he had access to the Obamas in Chicago back when Roland was a local radio show host, in Chicago. In fact, that was when Roland became national, was when Obama went national, right? So a lot of people kind of rode this Obama train to the top. It's fine. It is what it is. I'm not judging it. But there's a political angle to this, and I'm going to let Yvette Carnell kind of chime in on this later. But here's the other interesting thing about this story that's really making me think. Now, I've had people come to me. You see, Radio One owns a large percentage of Reach Media, which owns the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and they put it into national syndication, all this other stuff, and I've had people come to me over the years on multiple occasions and say things to me like they said, well, Radio One, yeah, Kathy Hughes is the boss of Radio One, but Radio One isn't exactly a black company. And one of the things that they would talk about are white guys, white people in charge, white people kind of controlling everything. And I said, but that doesn't make any sense because I thought Radio One was, black, right? And I don't know the details. I don't know all the details of exactly how all these things work, who owns who and who does what, why. All I know is that in this story, there's a focus on a guy by the name of David Cantor. Um, I don't know David's background. I tried to look it up. He does not look black. He looks like a white guy. And from what I understand, David Cantor, according to this article, now articles can, journalists can get sensationalist, and so you don't know how much stock to put into this. But they claim that Cantor was Tom Joyner's one of his best friends. They said his best friend. So and that they claim Joyner even gave him a Bentley as a gift. I don't give my friends Bentleys as gifts. I give them birthday cards and stuff. But they claim that Cantor was Joyner's best buddy, and according to this source, Cantor might be one of the people who's screwing him. One of the people who is actually responsible for making the decision to put Joyner out involuntarily after radio. In fact, I'm going to read some of this to you now. Now, right now, from what I understand, Cantor he left ABC Radio Networks to run Reach Media, and then he ended up becoming the CEO. I saw a press release where from a few years ago where he was announced as the CEO of Radio One Networks, the CEO of Radio One. In fact, here's a press release from 2015 actually. Okay, so I guess it must be recent because that's the date on this press release. It says Radio One Incorporated has appointed Reach Media President and CEO David Cantor, CEO of Radio One's radio segment. He will now have oversight of the local 54 stations and 16 market radio business and maintain leadership of the syndicated radio portfolio that reaches 12 million African Americans per week. Alfred Liggins, the Radio One president and CEO, says, I partnered with David and Tom Joyner at Reach Media for 11 years. I highly respect his work ethic and intelligence. David's skill set, his business acumen, entrepreneurial spirit are second to none. I'm excited about his leadership of our network and local radio business, and I have every confidence that he will do an outstanding job. So, what you're saying right now is that you have this guy who's not black, who is responsible for the dissemination of news and information to 12 million African Americans a week. There ain't number 40 million of us in the country. And I bet at least half of those people don't listen to radio. I don't listen to radio. I get my news from the internet. So probably roughly half, maybe more than half, of the African American radio listening population is going to have their information filtered by a person who's not black. Now, it doesn't mean David Cantor can't do the job. It doesn't mean that he's some horrible evil villain. But do you think? I mean, do you understand where I see something that could be wrong with that? Um, let's backtrack a little bit. Let me tell you what disturbs me about all of this. I was reading another story, and they were basically saying that one of the things Cantor allegedly did, according to this source in the UK Daily Mail, is Cantor was partly responsible for forcing Joyner to lay off friends that had been very loyal to him over the years. He would come in there and he would tell them, hey, this person's got to go. And Joyner didn't want the person to go, but Joyner didn't have a choice, according to this source. And Joyner was forced to make decisions that he didn't want to make and screw over loyal friends because the man told him to do it. Um, and you know, before I move on from that, what that really says to me is that sometimes when you have people who don't value anything other than the bottom line, who can't see the value of relationships, who don't understand the value of community preservation over corporate profitability, you run into those situations where those people, when you give them that power and that control, will come in and make decisions that make you look like the biggest asshole on the planet, that force you to become the most disloyal frog known to man because you want to make enough money to buy your homeboy a Bentley. One of the things that they mentioned was that Tom Joyner sold a huge part of his ownership stake in Reach Media to Radio One. And then they claim, again, according to this source, again, so this is all taken with a grain of salt. This is what we have in front of us. I'd love for somebody from Radio One or Reach to come and clarify some of this. According to the source, they say Cantor convinced him to sell up to 80% of his stake. And so you've let go of 80% of what you own, 80% of what you're going to pass to your children because you want that paycheck. You're trying to get that paper in your bank account. Maybe he bought something else. Maybe he owns something else. So I'm not going to say he just wasted the money. But suddenly, because somebody else now owns you, they're going to make decisions that you don't like. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. So at the end of the day, the great, high and mighty, most powerful Tom Joyner is being pushed out the door just like he's a little nigga on the street. That bothers me. That really bothers me. And what I would love to hear, and I don't even know if Tom will come and talk to me about it. I invite him again. I invite him to call me. I don't want to just hear from people who know people who know people. I would love to hear from the original sources on this, but um, I don't understand this. I mean, you were making plenty of money, Tom, already. This is your livelihood. This is your culture. This is far more. Tom Joyner, to me, has always come off to me as a person who saw beyond just the money. I mean, you look at what he's done for HBCUs. You see that where he stood behind certain issues and certain causes. I really hope that they're lying, that the UK Daily Mail is just telling a flat out lie, that Tom Joyner really chose to leave. I'm hoping that Tom, just said, "Hey, I'm 65. It's time for me to be done. I'm gonna go play golf and kick it for a few years, and I'm leaving on my terms." I hope that that's the truth. Because if he's being forced out of this position by a white guy who's been made the CEO of one of the largest black media outlets in the country, that's something that should be cause for concern for all of us. And it's also a huge lesson. And this is the kind of stuff we talk about in the Black Wealth Boot Camp, in case you're wondering what that boot camp is all about. It should be a huge lesson to all of us about the importance of maintaining ownership. When you talk about ownership, you don't sell pieces of things that you value. Go look at Mark Zuckerberg and his stake in Facebook. I don't know what percentage ownership he has, but it's not trivial. Let me Google that real quick. I want to see what percentage of Facebook does Zuckerberg own. Okay. So let me see here. I'm gonna see how much. Again, I don't even know. I'm not even putting Zuckerberg up as some sort of model of perfection. Okay, he owns 29% of Facebook. So, given that Facebook's worth $300 billion, that stake is worth about $100 billion. $100 billion. So Zuckerberg's net worth, let's see here, his total net worth, but they're saying it's 35 billion. So maybe there's something funny with the math because that's not correlating with the market value of Facebook. So that part I can do research on. And I'll get back to you. It looks like, yeah, the market cap is $300 billion. So I don't know how 30% of 300 billion comes out to 35 billion, but maybe there's something there I'm missing here. But anyway, that's not the issue. The point of the matter is that when Joyner let go of that control in his company, you're letting go of control of your legacy. You're letting go of control of your ability to participate in your livelihood. I don't think that money is the primary concern for Tom Joyner at this point. At this point, man, I mean, you're 65. I don't know how many years you got left. I hope you have 100, but you might only have 10. You might have 5. You might have 15, 20. I don't know. But you're hitting the end. You're hitting the fourth quarter of the game, and there's no way on this earth that some dude who's not even black should be able to push you out of your job, out of your position. That job should belong to you. That should be your job. Period. So that's all I want to say. I just want to share this with you guys. I want to make it very clear that my goal here is not to bash Tom Joyner. I don't care how he feels about me. I respect the guy and what he's accomplished. I don't agree with him on everything, but I respect him tremendously. I don't know about this David Cantor guy. He sounds like a typical kind of media guy who's just like, okay, we're gonna make money off black people, and this is where it's at, and this is where I can get my power. This is where I can pass down wealth to my children or whatever. I'm not a fan of based on what I've read. Maybe he's different from what I believe, but I'm not. None of this makes me comfortable, and it makes me give the side eye to Kathy Hughes and the crew. I'd love to know what they're thinking. Who are these people that are running your organization? Are you running the organization and having people in strategic positions who are controlling the lives of people of color that in a way and forcing them to do things that are just not ethical, that are not consistent with the values of the black community, that are not consistent with the needs of the people? I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't. I'm asking these questions, not even rhetorically. I'm asking them because I really want to know. Because right now, all of this just looks bad, and I just hate the fact that Tom Joyner got pushed out. A man of his level of achievement should not leave the stage in disgrace. He should not be pushed off the stage. He should be allowed to walk off the stage voluntarily. But ownership makes all the difference. So when you guys are out here starting your own businesses, which is what we encourage you to do in the Black Wealth Boot Camp, we don't need a nation of high-paid Negroes. We don't need a nation of high-paid employees. We need a nation of builders, black people who build things and own what they build. You don't have to own 100%, but at least own that 60, 70, 80%, so that you have control, you have power. You get to decide that you want to pass this down to your kids. You get to decide if this is going to be set to benefit your community. You're not going to have somebody come from the outside who might help you make a couple extra dollars because they got access to that white people money, and who comes in and destroys everything that you've built from a cultural and psychological standpoint, from an ethical standpoint, because it is unethical to screw over your friends so you can make an extra dollar. It's unethical to take somebody who is as esteemed as Tom Joyner and just boot him off the air because you can make a little bit more money. It's unethical to put the values of the community beneath the importance of corporate profitability. That's all unethical, and I'm not a fan of that. So, but that's how capitalism works. Capitalism. I've taught capitalism for 20 years. I've been a finance professor since I've taught at 5 universities on this topic. And the thing about capitalism, to be quite frank with you, is capitalism can be a dirty bitch if you don't regulate it. If you don't know who you are, if you don't understand what you are ethically, if you don't know what your core values are, they go beyond money. Capitalism will make you look like the most ratchet hoe on the block. It will really make you look stupid because you're going to end up hurting people and doing horrible things because you want to make $20.8 million instead of 20.5. That's what capitalism can cause you to do if you don't know who you are. And Tom Joyner came out to me as a man who knows who he is. So this company, I don't get it. I'm done. I'm gonna stop talking because I probably done made some people mad, hurt some people's feelings. But that's just the way I see it. So you guys take care. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the BlackBusinessSchool.com. Until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.